on WNBC TV. This is News 4 New York with Ralph Penza and Carol Jenkins.
Well, good evening. The New York area celebrates the Giants' Super Bowl victory and braces for a winter storm.
We're going to have a full report on the Giants' historic Super Bowl win, but first, another winter storm is descending in just 3 days after a snowstorm caused...
Also coming home as Super Bowl champions. Sal is here with the highlights the Giants fans have been waiting for 3 decades to enjoy. Something, huh?
That's right, Carol. The Giants danced on the heads of the Broncos tonight at the Super Bowl to the tune New York, New York. Trailing 10-9 at the half, the Giants' offensive unit scored 17 unanswered points in the third quarter and left Denver in the Rose Bowl dust 39-20. Quarterback Phil Simms voted the most valuable player. In the first quarter, Denver led 3-0 when Simms threw his first touchdown pass, a 6-yarder to Zeke Mowat. Otherwise, the Denver defense controlled the first half. Giants defensive end George Martin sacked John Elway for a safety and 2 points. The Giants trailed 10-9 at the half. The third quarter and the game belonged to the Giants. Simms to Mark Bavaro for a 13-yard score. The Giants tight end said a prayer as the Giants took the lead for good 16-10. Raul Alegre kicked a 21-yard field goal. The Giants had a 9-point lead, 19-10. While the Giants defensive unit smothered the Broncos, Joe Morris scored untouched from the 2. 17 unanswered third quarter points by the Giants. They led 26-10. In the fourth quarter, Simms' third scoring pass off Bavaro's hands into the hands of Phil McConkey. Phil had his first Super Bowl touchdown. 24 unanswered points. The Giants led 33-10. O.J. Anderson chipped in with his first Super Bowl score, and Coach Bill Parcells took his ceremonial bath as the Giants became champions of the NFL. Nose tackle Jim Burt stripped down and celebrated on the sidelines with his son. The final 39-20. Simms voted most valuable player. The most underrated quarterback in the NFL completed 22 of 25 passes. The 88% completion average was the best ever in the 21-year history of the Super Bowl. Simms threw for 268 yards and, most importantly, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Once the scribes wrote that Phil could not win the big ones. Today, he did win the big one. Later in this broadcast, I'll have more game highlights, and Len Berman will have post-game players' reactions. Ralph?
Okay, Sal, it does feel good. Outside the Rose Bowl today, police arrested 38 people, most of them for picking pockets. So apparently it was a good thing for Ben Farnsworth to be inside the stadium with the Giants fans, the ones that journeyed west for the game. Let's go to Ben for a live report. Ben?
Ralph, I think there are still some Giants fans in there. Well, the Giants tonight are free. They're free from a 30-year jinx since the last time they won an NFL championship. They're free from all the critics who said they didn't have a quarterback. Phil Simms, MVP tonight. And they're free from an inferiority complex that had turned the Giants into dwarfs. But not tonight. No question about it. Don't raise the issue again. The Giants are winners.
It was a super day for all fans. Well, almost all fans. No more Mickey Mouse. It was all on the line today. And when the Giants scored early in the second half, Giants fans knew what they were going to do.
I'm going to celebrate like hell. I'm going to celebrate for another week.
What happens if they lose?
It can't happen. Giants cannot lose.
Those Giants fans are confident, aren't they?
After seeing 4 Super Bowls, the most obnoxious fans have been the Giants fans. Vocal, pushy.
Giants fans pushy? Nah. Well, today they had reason to be. Not all fans, by the way, were taking sides.
I'm neutral in this.
Why?
I'm a Pasadena resident. I just wanted to see a good game, and I know she'll never have the opportunity to see another Super Bowl game. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
No, little Veronica did not need a ticket to get in. What about Broncos fans?
Giants, right?
No! Broncos!
Oh, Broncos!
What are you going to do if they win?
Celebrate!
Yeah?
Got a bet on it and everything.
But Broncos fans weren't the only ones who wouldn't quit.
The Bears are the Super Bowl champs until the end of the day. Patriots! They got to earn it.
And then who's the Super Bowl champ?
Whoever earns it. Whoever earns it.
But were the Giants prepared for a loss?
They're not going to lose. We're positive.
But what if they do?
They're not. I just don't feel we came to win.
Well, I tell you, the Giants wouldn't leave the stadium. Afterwards, they sang New York, New York, despite that celebration snub from Mayor Koch. This is a team that New York or New Jersey could be proud of. I think tonight the Giants could have beaten Jack and the Beanstalk. You know, Giants players have been telling me all week that they wanted to win a Super Bowl ring for themselves, but they gave Giants fans something they'll never forget, a memory to live with for a lifetime. There's going to be some celebrating here in Pasadena tonight. Back to you guys.
And back here. Now come back to the snow, Ben.
Well, here in Manhattan, the streets were nearly empty once the Super Bowl hit the air. News 4's Pat Doyle surveyed most of Midtown, and he said he could only count 51 people out. Well, where was everyone else? Well, I found thousands of New Yorkers conjugating, as it were, in bars and restaurants, taking in the game. For Giants fans all around town, it was a night to remember. Also a night to yell, scream, and generally make merry. For those not fortunate enough to get to Pasadena, some appreciative fans even thought our presence just after halftime had turned the game around.
Carol, when you showed up, the whole game changed. We're going to score.
And now for the real thing. For those not fortunate enough to actually get to Pasadena, a close enough replica, a place to celebrate that has a giant screen in the shape of the goalposts, AstroTurf, bleachers, and of course beer. It was here at Media Sound, a recording studio on West 57th Street, that we found in the bleachers actress-singer Irene Cara.
Why aren't you in Pasadena?
You know, I live in Pasadena. It's a good thing I'm not. My husband's watching it from our house. Hi, honey.
I think it's great, especially because most of the people here have a couple of different passions. A lot of the people here like football, and a lot of people like music, so we're doing football in a music environment.
It's best watching it here in New York. This is where the energy and spirit is here.
Actually, people were celebrating all sorts of things tonight. Down on 14th Street at the Old Homestead restaurant, these women, who go by the label Football Widows, danced among themselves and rejoiced the end of the season.
Football restricts everything. It's just amazing. Saturday and Sunday, and even on Monday night, there's another game.
But that was not the stuff of the party on the Upper West Side, as fans gathered in Amsterdam's praised the irrepressible style, the aggressive manner, and above all, the glorious winning of the New York Giants.
New York is gigantic. There you go.
And by the way, for those who can hardly wait, the next Super Bowl is only 370 days away.
I think we can wait. In addition to celebrating the Giants' victory, there was another celebration at Manny's in Moonachie, a halftime wedding. Hannah Bond reports from New Jersey. Hannah?
Well, the celebration is still going on here at Manny's in Moonachie. As a matter of fact, it's very difficult to describe the sheer ecstasy, the mayhem and the madness that swept over this place like a tidal wave when the Super Bowl was finally clinched by the Giants. Now, this was the next best thing to being in Pasadena. In fact, there was a victory celebration, and there was also a wedding. What a place for a wedding. What a time for a wedding. But Claudia Briscoe, dental hygienist, wore a lavish gown of white, trailed her bridal train through the crowded tables at Manny's in Moonachie's, swept by the hordes of Giants fans to take dentist Tom Greco as her lawful husband. You're a dentist and she's a hygienist?
Yes.
Was getting him to marry you like pulling teeth? It was love at first bite. They toasted with Gatorade, and then they told me about a bet they made 2 years ago.
We made a bet 2 years ago, and we're just keeping our bet.
Tom and Claudia told my wife and myself, Shelley and myself, that if the Giants got into the Super Bowl this year, he'll marry Claudia at halftime. Well, P.S., here we are.
While matrimony was being celebrated in one room, mayhem was breaking out in the other. When the Giants scored, cheers, screams, and howls of hysteria. When the Giants fumbled, an uneasy silence. I hate to ask you this question, but suppose the Giants lose.
I don't hear so well.
Suppose the Giants lose. Suppose they lose. No way.
No way.
And then it was all over. The Giants were finally #1, and this place went crazy. And they were right. The Giants did pull it off. Now, just a short time ago, fire trucks came out here with their sirens blaring, and police trucks and police cars came out here with their sirens blaring. Everyone, I get this feeling that I'm being pushed out of here. But everybody was celebrating. Some of these fans said to me, please forgive us, Anna, for all the excitement, but we're not used to victory. But we like the taste of it. I'm Anna Bonner.
All right, thank you very much. And when the Giants return, they will be, no surprise, honored at Giants Stadium. That begins at 10 a.m. on... As promised, all you want to know about the Super Bowl.
And more. No.
Okay, Carol and Ralph. The Giants swept to their first NFL championship in 30 years by winning their 12th straight game. Denver led 10-9 at the half, but the Giants scored 24 unanswered points, cruising to a 39-20 stomping of the Broncos. Phil, you can't win the big one. Sims crushed his critics, voted the game's most valuable player. Beautiful afternoon in Pasadena, the old Rose Bowl packed with more than 100,000 customers. The only thing the Broncos won was the coin toss. They elected to receive to challenge the Giants' defense. Broncos opening possession, John Elway, 3rd and 7, to rookie Mark Jackson on the post pattern, a gain of 24 yards. Rich Carlos kicked a 48-yarder, 3-0 Denver. Phil Simms came out throwing his first pass to Lionel Manuel for 18 yards. Simms was 6 for 6 on the 78-yard drive, capped by a 6-yard scoring pass to tight end Zeke Mowat. The Giants led 7-3. Denver ball, this late hit out of bounds by number 53, Harry Carson, plus unsportsmanlike conduct by Lawrence Taylor put the Broncos at the 6. Elway scored from the 4, 10-7 Denver. The Giants were held, and Elway put the Broncos in gear. He eluded Giants pressure. He found Vance Johnson for a gain of 54 yards inside the Giants' 30. Here's a very important play. Denver had 3rd and goal inside the Giants' 5. Sammy Winder smothered by linebackers Carl Banks and Harry Carson. So on 4th down, Rich Carlos, who hit from 48 yards out earlier, missed from 24 yards out, still 10-7 Denver. The Giants were held again, and Elway had a 2nd and 12 at his own 13. Elway to Clarence Kay over the middle. Looked like a completion, right? The Zebras rule no. The first TV replay decision in Super Bowl history, and the officials in the booth upheld the officials on the field. It was an incompletion, a tremendous break for the Giants, because on the next play, Elway was sacked in the end zone by defensive end George Martin for safety and 2 points. Denver's lead cut to 10-9. With seconds remaining till halftime, Carlos missed a 34-yard attempt. Denver kept a 1-point lead, 10-9. LAX was smothered in smog as the sun set during halftime. Giants ball started the 3rd quarter, 4th and 1 at the 46. They lined up for a punt, but backup quarterback Jeff Rutledge sneaked for a 1st down, so the Giants retained possession. 3rd and 6 at the Denver 13. Simms to Mark Bavaro for a touchdown. The Giants' all-pro tight end is a religious man. The Giants took the lead for good, 16-10. The Giants held the Broncos on 3 downs and a punt for the first time. Harry Carson getting away with a late hit on Vance Johnson that angered Coach Dan Reeves because there was no penalty call. The Giants played ball control. Raul Alegre kicked a 21-yard field goal. The Giants led 19-10. Denver failed to pick up a 1st down, and the Giants had a trick play. Morris back to Simms to Phil McConkey. The flea flicker gained 44 yards to the Denver 2. McConkey denied a Super Bowl touchdown, but the Giants were fat. Joe Morris got 2 crunching blocks by Carthon and Godfrey and scored untouched, 26-10 Giants after 3 quarters. The Giants intercepted Elway for the game's first turnover, and Simms threw his 3rd touchdown pass with a bit of luck off Bavaro's hands into the midst of McConkey, a Super Bowl touchdown for Phil. He was traded by the Giants, then reacquired. The Giants dancing to a 33-10 lead. On the sidelines, nose tackle Jim Burt not taking the big lead for granted, sneaking a look at the clock. Linebacker Carl Banks denied a Pro Bowl appearance, played as if possessed, easily the best player in the Giants defensive unit. Harry Carson changed into a yellow security man's jacket, sneaked up on Coach Bill Parcells for the ceremonial bath. After 30 years of frustration, the Giants are NFL champions. The final score, 39-20. Simms, the MVP, completed 88% of his passes, 22 of 25, the best ever in Super Bowl history. Simms passed for 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Len Berman covered the game for us in Pasadena, so let's switch to the Rose Bowl. Len?
Thank you, Sal. None of the champagne silliness you see in baseball, but they did have an excited time in the locker room. But I think some of the more interesting scenes were some that you showed on the field earlier. Now, the memorable locker room quotes, Phil McConkey telling me that this makes every single push-up he has ever done in his life worthwhile. And Phil Simms telling me that his father always told him to try to be humble, whether in victory or defeat, but he said, it's going to be a hard time being humble tonight. Here now are some of the post-game locker room interviews.
We decided to stop playing that finesse game with them, you know, reading everything, what they're doing, and just go out there and you know, knock their heads off. And I think anytime you play a physical ball club, you know, ball game, you know, toughness is always going to win. And we showed that in the second half.
We've said all along, just worry about, take care of ourselves and take care of our own business, and everything will be fine. And that first half, we kind of let things get out of hand for us, and we're pressing too much, and we're forcing ourselves into mistakes. But in the second half, we just did what we did to get here. I mean, all the things we did all year long to get here, we did in the second half.
Joe, you're a Super Bowl champion. How do you feel?
I can't really hold it in anymore, Len. I'm very excited. This is probably the best moment in my life outside of my daughter's birth and my wedding to my wife. You know, it's been a long time in coming. We've struggled a long time with this team.
Is it possible this is your last game?
It's possible. That's a strong possibility. Bill and I have just briefly talked, and he has invited me back, but I don't make any decisions until I talk with the Mrs., the boss, actually. And at that time, we'll make a determination whether George Martin will continue to play. It's always nice to go out on a winner. That's a possibility, but it would also be nice to come back and be defending world champions.
Tell us how you feel about being a Super Bowl champion and most valuable player. How do you sum that up?
First time in my life that I haven't been humble. I mean, you know, I'm having a hard time containing, you know, my dad always told me, you know, you gotta always be gracious in defeat or victory, and it's tough. I mean, because it's because I feel so good and I'm so happy about everything, and I really can't believe that we are the world champions and we won the Super Bowl and everything the way it worked out. It's the best.
And Phil told me he would probably spend a few quiet moments with his family this evening and maybe even cry over things. And this has been quite a few months for New York sports fans, hasn't it, Sal? The Mets and now the Giants. And what's next? The Knicks and the Rangers for us to cover? Back to you in New York. See you tomorrow.
Okay, the Rangers? Well, maybe. Hey, Len, bring back your mittens when you come back tomorrow. More sports and a final word this winter of sports content of the Big Apple. All of that and much more, if you keep it where it is.
I was 10 years old when I built my first model plane. I thought it was fantastic. Flew all of about 5 feet the first time out, but that was enough. I knew then I wanted to fly forever. It's a feeling, it gets into your blood. And after 20 years of flying with Delta, it's still there. Hey, I may never get you to feel the way I do about flying, but sure would like to try.
Delta gets you there. We get you there with care.
Hi, I'm Doug Parcells.
And I'm Joanne Reeves.
Our brothers are Super Bowl coaches.
So plenty of investment firms would love to manage their money.
But we found a firm that thinks we're important, too.
Yeah, Dean Witter.
They're helping me to plan for my children's education.
And for my retirement.
And we all know you need a game plan.
If you expect to win.
You're somebody at Dean Witter.
A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Italian lesson numero uno. Premium pasta taught by the expert, Ronzoni. There's linguine, rotelli, fettuccine, even fettuccine agli spinaci. With 70 years of Italian know-how, this is how pasta was meant to taste. Now what do you say?
Ronzoni sono broni.
Ronzoni is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Another 30 seconds of common sense. Should you buy another used car or a new Hyundai Excel? With used, you never really know how much is left unused. But right now, for the average price of a used car, you can get a brand new Hyundai Excel. Thoroughly equipped, never used, never abused, and starting at only $49.95. I suggest you pull yourself together and get down to your Hyundai dealer. Hurry.
Call toll-free for the Hyundai dealer nearest you. We sell cars that make sense, so hurry.
While the Giants became NFL champions over the Broncos 39-20, no other local teams played. In college hoops, undefeated Iowa lost yesterday to Ohio State. Today, unbeaten DePaul was knocked off by Georgetown 74-71. DePaul in blue, trailing by 13 early second half. Rod Strickland led a 30-10 run. Strickland scored 13 of his 18 points in the second half. Mark Tillman of Georgetown put the Hoyas a point behind the Blue Demons. DePaul ahead by 2, less than 30 seconds to go from the corner. Reggie Williams with a three-pointer. Georgetown 74, DePaul 71. The Hoyas 14-2, the Blue Demons 16-1. Two very talented centers were on showcase today on Super Bowl Sunday. First, Danny Manning of Kansas, then David Robinson of Navy. Against North Carolina State in Kansas City, Manning scored 16 points in the first half as Kansas took a 9-point lead on the Wolfpack. The Jayhawks center scored 30 points, hauled down 14 rebounds. Manning is a big man with many skills. North Carolina State lost by 14, 74-60. At Kentucky, Navy's David Robinson on display like a fine gem. The Midi center burned the Wildcats with 45 points, 14 rebounds, 10 blocked shots. But Kentucky had a better balanced attack. Guard Rex Chapman paced the Wildcats with 22 points. Despite Robbie, Kentucky beat Navy by a score of 80-69. You have to go back to the fall of 1969 and the spring of 1970 to match the sports thrills the Big Apple has enjoyed recently. Back then, the Mets won their first championship, followed by the Jets' Super Bowl upset and the Knicks' second NBA title. Yes, the Islanders won 4 straight Stanley Cups, but it was otherwise a sports famine. Last October, the Mets beat the Red Sox in the World Series, and today, the Giants won their first Super Bowl. New York, New York, New Jersey, New Jersey, the home of champions again. And that's the Sunday sports.
Okay, Sal, even if they did win by more than a squeaker.
Yes, they won by enough.
And you know, the image that sticks in my mind is Phil McConkey running with that football. He probably still has it in his hand. He didn't give it up, right?
Yes, a sure treasure for the rest of his life.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Sal. Up next, the Catholic Church makes a decision as a result of a court decision on contraceptives.
And Mayor Koch goes to Auschwitz on a visit to Poland. Stay with us.
Your day starting out under a cloud? Forgot your computer gal is on vacation? Accountant called in sick? Bookkeeper screaming for extra help? Don't let it rain on your parade. Call Accountants. Accountants. Lightning fast, you'll have a temporary specialist in accounting, bookkeeping, and data processing for as long as you need them. Accountants. Call Accountants. Lightning fast way to save your day.
221-6500.
If it's not Mrs. Paul's crispy, crunchy fish fillets, throw it back.
Grandpa made it.
If it's not Mrs. Paul's fish sticks, throw it back.
The state of New Jersey has emerged as a premier platform for business. At First Fidelity Bank, we've been here for you with services and solutions for 175 years. Now, alien out-of-state forces are beginning to take control of some banks, putting you at a greater distance from your bank's key decision makers. Before your bank alienates you, switch to First Fidelity Bank. Our first concern is you, New Jersey.
Mumu. Behold the Isuzu Pup, the lowest priced truck in America. About $6. Buy a pup now and you can get 3.9% financing or 500 pounds of bananas. Why, I saved enough money to buy this island and all the fish. Penumeli, Kiki Bobo.
Hurry, 3.9% financing or $500 rebate offer ends soon.
Mayor Koch said today that he was never so moved and filled with anger after his visit to the Auschwitz concentration camp in southern Poland. The mayor spent 4 hours touring the camp museum in falling snow and strong wind. He saw the death block filled with piles of human hair, dentures, shoes from some of the Nazi camp's 4 million victims. His own aunt and uncle were among those murdered. In the museum visitor's book, Koch wrote the words, "We remember." He's scheduled to meet with Solidarity leader Lech Walesa on Tuesday.
Back here in New York, thousands of foster children living in Catholic group homes could lose their shelter. Cardinal O'Connor says the homes will be closed if the church is forced to go along with a court decision that requires the children to receive information on birth control and abortion. The Cardinal's day began on a hopeful note as diplomats gathered in St. Patrick's Cathedral for World Peace Day. But later he bristled at the suggestion that the church's reaction to the court's decision would leave 4,000 youngsters in the cold.
If they need foster care provided by the church, then why are those who are hostile to the principles of the church, why are they requiring us to change our principles? If they don't want foster care provided by the church, then it is the responsibility of the city and others. So I simply don't accept that argument with due respect, that we are to blame. There have been efforts to do that before, to blame us. You know, that's shooting a man in the belly and blaming him for bleeding. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, O'Connor says if the centers do close down, they can be converted to other uses like shelters for the homeless, nursing homes, and AIDS treatment centers.
New York State's Controller Ed Regan says the governor is making a big mistake, underestimating the windfall from that federal tax reform, a mistake which he says will be costly to the taxpayers. The controller made his comments on today's News Forum broadcast, told Gabe Pressman the governor is lowballing the excess funds channeled to New York State from the federal budget. That means New Yorkers will not get refunds
It's way too low, and it's purposely too low. And he'll return less than comes in, so that in essence, as a result of the federal law, people will have a tax increase. And I think that's very unfortunate.
You mean a state tax increase?
Absolutely, a state tax increase.
So what's up? Well, Regan claims the governor's intention is to allow more money to flow to Albany. New York State already spends more than any other state government.
The December death of Michael Griffith, a black man hounded by a pack of white assailants, stirred controversy, debate, and cries of cover-up. But it was the controversial death of another young black man in 1983 that is the subject of a new report and of Gabe Pressman's commentary.
The case of Michael Stewart won't go away. The death of this young black man, after being arrested by police officers, remains a symbol to black and white people alike of a criminal justice system gone wrong, accomplishing not justice, but injustice. The report just issued by former federal Judge Harold Tyler indicts that system, and the conclusions are grim. One, that the transit police officers used excessive restraint during the arrest of Michael Stewart. Two, that the arresting officer lied when he testified he saw Michael Stewart breathing during the ride to Bellevue Hospital in a van. Stewart actually was brain dead already. Three, that by the early morning of September 15, 1983, it was obvious some major and extraordinary tragedy had occurred, and yet TA Police Chief James Meehan did nothing to investigate the tragedy or to see that anyone else did. Tyler's searing report confirms the worst suspicions of those of us who monitored this case from the beginning. Michael Stewart was treated shamefully when he was restrained, wrists bound to his ankles in a hog-tied position, and loaded into the van for the trip to Bellevue. The failure of the arresting officer to monitor Stewart's condition as he was driven to the hospital, says Tyler, was a dereliction of duty. MTA Chairman Robert Kiley has named a 3-member committee to decide what steps should be taken now. He calls the report deeply disturbing. That's putting it mildly. 6 transit police officers were acquitted in November 1985 in the death of Michael Stewart. It was a case marked by weak, uncertain, and conflicting testimony by the medical examiner. Clearly, the failure of authorities to act more decisively in the hours just after Michael Stewart was admitted to Bellevue hurt the investigation. Now, Chief Meehan, who denies it vehemently, is accused of a major sin of omission. Carrie Stewart, Michael Stewart's mother, tells me she's glad at least one small step has been taken. But the bottom line is an inquiring former judge hired by the Transit Authority itself has found the TA guilty of failing to pursue justice. The criminal justice system itself has been found grievously wanting. Last June, U.S. Attorney Rudolph Giuliani found there was insufficient evidence to pursue a grand jury investigation of whether Michael Stewart's civil rights were violated. Giuliani might well reconsider that investigation now in the light of these new findings.